Ethiopia, the nation of fairness, the symbol of justice, the origin of mankind. Ethiopia Today is the English-language news channel which brings the latest from Ethiopia, mainly focusing on economy and IT digitalization.
Ethiopia's fair, lawful and win-win resolution for GERD panic of Egypt and Sudan. Ethiopia started the greatest project of its kind in 2011. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, being constructed on the Ethiopian river of Blue Nile. The Ethiopian Blue Nile meets the White Nile River in Khartoum of Sudanese capital and becomes the Nile River flowing down to Egypt. The GERD is considered to be the greatest dam in Africa. The reservoir of GERD is most likely to be larger than Greater London with an overall capacity of 74 billion cubic meters. Once completed, it is anticipated that GERD will generate a huge 6,000 megawatts of electricity power. The $5.6 billion dam goes to the heart of Ethiopia's economic as well as commercial desires. Initially, Ethiopia attempted to fund this big project through international financial institutions. However, Ethiopia's plan failed mainly due to the fear of geopolitics of the region. Hence, the country committed to execute its ambitious project without delay and opted for Plan B funding source. The cost of this huge Dam of Ethiopia has been funded by its own people and its own resources. The whole nation united to build and fund this magnificent dam on its own mobilized resources. Its cost knocked the door of each and every citizen of the nation regardless of where they live or their current nationality. Every single person has paid his or her own resource in one way or the other. This means the GERD is a direct asset of every citizen of Ethiopia. Thus the issue of GERD has been stick deep into the hearts of Ethiopians. Nevertheless, this great project of Ethiopia is being threatened by various internal and external roadblocks. Internally, the GERD project has faced a number of challenges. The 27-year EPRDF-led government came to an end in 2018, though opposition from TPLF had been mounting and later became the source of national instabilities. TPLF was the main wing of the collapsed EPRDF party which represented the Tigray people. Leaders of TPLF later moved to Mekelle, the capital of Tigray region, and became the strong threat for central government of the young ambitious Ethiopian Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed. The conflict between the federal government of Prime Minister Abiy and the Tigray regional government reached its climax in October 2020. The central government launched its law enforcement task after a reported attacks of Tigray Region Special Force on Northern Military Command and the confirmed Mai Kadra genocide. It took 3 weeks to take under control the conflict and remove the TPLF leaders from their offices. But some sort of law enforcement tasks still remained in a bid to satisfactorily restore the peace and rebuild the conflict-devastated region of Tigray. So, the government is obliged to shift its attention and its scarce resource from the GERD project for this law enforcement purpose. Furthermore, unnecessary clashes and killings of innocent people in different parts and regions of Ethiopia has been a great setback for the government of Prime Minister Abiy and his dynamic heartfelt ambitions. External threats. The GERD construction has been viewed differently by the downstream countries of the Nile River, Sudan and Egypt. This has been the source of tension since the initial stone was laid back in April 2011. Discussions have been undergoing and fundamentals of the dam have been agreed. However, modalities of the filling of reservoir have yet to be reached in agreement. Why is the GERD construction so controversial? Ethiopia strongly states that the completion of the GERD according to its plan is crucial to its economic development as well as power generation for its 65% non-electrified population. Ethiopia has no intention of quitting its plan of construction, though the pressures coming from both Sudan and Egypt, as well as the international bodies, have been unfairly tough. Ethiopia has always affirmed and assured that its Great Dams project and the nation's long-term ambitions always matches the principles of fairness and win-win and laws of international border-crossing rivers. Ethiopia has never engaged itself with any undertakings that adversely affected its neighbors and the African continent or the international communities. Rather, the country has always been an example of fairness and justice. Ethiopia has never treated anyone unfairly and declared a war on any nation, but took part in several unjustified wars that were provoked by invaders and maintained its national interests and sovereignty. History is the witness for this. Unfortunately, the Ethiopia's act of good faith, fairness, lawfulness and win-win resolution for the mounting tensions of the Horn of Africa is far yet to be understood by Egyptian and Sudanese authorities as well as most international communities. The dam's reservoir filling time is also carefully and fairly scheduled to take place during the rainy months of June through August. This has immediate positive impacts for concurrently flood-affected parts of the Sudan. This is a simple example of mutual benefit. The full execution of GERD project apparently brings numerous benefits not only for Sudan or Egypt but also for other East African neighboring nations consisting of South Sudan, Kenya, Djibouti and also Eritrea through export of power created by the dam. Nevertheless, Egypt afraid that the dam can limit the access of 90% of its water source, which Ethiopia has repeatedly explained that this has never been the case and should not be the reason for the concern. Furthermore, the Cairo government continued its fierce international lobbying activities on one hand while intimidating Ethiopians on the other. Egypt has repeatedly threatened Ethiopia and warned that it will fight Ethiopia and would blow the GERD. This is like biting a breastfeeding mom. We don't believe that Ethiopia deserves this. We don't either believe that it would help anyone and resolve the problem on ground. We are in 21st century when mankind has found solutions for more complex problems than this one. There is a way out as long as there is trust and honesty as well as collaboration and common understanding among stakeholder nations. The old Nile River treaties and the talks of GERD so far. Ethiopia has always firmly argued that the country must not be bound by the decades-old treaties with significant shortcomings. According to the treaties of 1929 and 1959, Sudan and Egypt were given almost full right on the waters of the Nile River. The treaties were made strangely and unfairly in the absence of its 80% water contributing country, which is Ethiopia. Ethiopia rejected these unfair treaties and strongly expressed its genuine concern and ratification. The concern and objections of the major feeder nation of the Nile River has never been easily acceptable on the part of Egypt and Sudan. The U.S. involvement during the presidency of Donald Trump to mediate the talks between the three countries has brought no results. The mediation attempt by Donald Trump's government violated the mediation fundamentals. It didn't involve the major stakeholder, Ethiopia, and yet passed some resolutions. This was viewed by Ethiopians and friends of Ethiopia as undermining its sovereignty. History of unfair handling of such conflicts is being repeated here. Above all, Trump's public suggestion that Cairo would blow up the dam further aggravated the tension and annoyed most Ethiopians. Which was also a shame from the president of a nation like the US. The most recent round of talks in Kinshasa from the 4th to the 5th of April of 2021 between Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam have actually finished without any development. Ethiopia explained its hope that the talks will continue and waiting for the call from the current president of OAU, Democratic Republic of Congo. Egypt's international ministry claimed the talks stopped because of Ethiopia's opposition of a Sudanese proposition to consist of global arbitrators in talks. Ethiopia firmly believed that the Organization of African Unity, OAU, must take the full responsibility of mediation role. There have been numerous experiences in Africa where various developmental projects executed on international border crossing rivers. Any concerns between involved countries have been resolved for mutual benefits and didn't result in major problems. Therefore, such lessons can be great input as Ethiopia justified its position. However, the role of international communities has never been disregarded by Ethiopia as the authorities clearly indicated time and time again. The international contribution in facilitating the agreement is crucial, particularly on observation and expert consultation levels. This means, Ethiopia sees the role and the constructive inputs by our international partners and communities have huge importance. Because the international communities have always been in supporting the country's developmental ambitions and endeavors, though the cost of this huge dam has been funded by its own people and resources. However, most of our international partners too have failed to understand Ethiopia's position and act of good faith on GERD's false panic of Egypt and Sudan. This is something badly disappointing the Ethiopians and our international friends and partners. Ethiopia is a member of the United Nations and always abide by its rule of law and collaborated accordingly. Ethiopia has never failed to respond positively to international callings like taking part in the UN peacekeeping forces. Have we done anything wrong in our duties or failed to abide by any rule of law? Please remind us this. We are so humble to correct any of our wrongdoings. It is possible to help and support someone without blocking ambition of the other. Understand our act of good faith that will bring a number of benefits for all of our neighboring nations. We always acted fairly and with integrity throughout the history of our nation. Here is the message for our Sudanese and Egyptian brothers and sisters. Please stop false panicking about water shortage due to the GERD. The GERD is being constructed on Abyei River, our name for Blue Nile. Although Ethiopia is the source of this great river, it never managed to utilize the Abyei or the Blue Nile River for various reasons. God has brought us the time and opportunities to do this now. While making use of our God-given river, we always make sure that it won't affect negatively the lives and the usages of either Sudanese or Egyptians. Every engineering works have been conducted and put in place diligently and considerately. The GERD reservoir filling schedules and timings are all directly matched and integrated into the engineering works and designs so that it would help us achieving our goals of considerate plans. This means, your worries too are fully integrated into the GERD project. You will get uninterrupted volume of water as usual. So, our friends, don't worry about the Nile River. Ethiopia is a nation of fairness and justice. Lastly, we have another point to highlight here. Is the fast-paced economy of the country remained resilient or affected? Despite all those discussed hurdles, Ethiopia is moving on the right development track. The country is determined to lift up its population from poverty and lead the nation to become the economic power of East Africa. Ethiopia has staggering 71.5 out of 110 million still live simply in an olden era even after its invention 150 years ago. The completion of the GERD project will bring the light to its population who live without electricity, and the power generated will be exported to neighboring countries where electricity is in shortage. In addition, the subsequent developmental projects intended to be implemented on the adjacent parts of the dam will also have multiplier effects which will bring life and hope to many Ethiopians. The Development Fund mobilization strategies of the Government of Nobel Peace Prize winner of 2019, His Excellency PM, Abiy Ahmed, further shows how this nation is determined for development. The launching of the Dam for Ethiopia is an example of such endeavors to mention. It is a fundraising strategy where citizens including business and the community at large can purchase tickets individually or their family or company. This has already shown some amazing results. Ethiopia's economy experienced strong, broad-based growth averaging 9.4% over the last 10 years according to the World Bank reports. However, the impact of COVID-19 coupled with the earlier discussed internal instabilities and the invasion of warist locust, no doubt it will impact its economic growth. But still, statistics indicating that Ethiopia will experience the higher levels of economic growth due to the high commitment the country is making. May Almighty God protect and bless Ethiopia and its people. Ethiopia shall prevail. Thanks for your attention.
Ethiopia, the nation of fairness, the symbol of justice, the origin of mankind. Ethiopia Today is the English language news channel which brings the latest from Ethiopia, mainly focusing on economy and IT digitalization.